Hello, I'm Joel.
And I'm Alex. Welcome to the Commander's Journey.
The place where we discuss our favorite format of Magic, Commander, from the perspective of a new player.
And an experienced one.
This journey is for new Magic players interested in Commander. So we've been doing this top 5 episode, and I think we're finally coming to the end of the color pie. We did what I think I can remember the order. We did blue, green, black, white, and now we're doing red.
Yep.
Wait. Is there a specific? Is that Wooburg?
No, that's not in the slightest.
We messed that up.
No, we didn't. I literally, we're like, oh yeah, blue's known for card draw, green's known for ramp, Oh, black,
Yes.
yeah, single target. White, board wipe. And then we got to red. We're like, what does red do? And then, and what comes to mind, of course, to everyone at home, you're sitting there and you're going, yeah, it does damage, right? It does burn. And that's where we were leaning originally too. But as we started thinking, first of all, most times you're not playing burn in a random deck. You're usually using burn in a specific burn deck.
Yes, like maybe a Torburn type deck. And we're thinking Commander specifically.
Exactly. And you don't use burn in most of those other decks. Not to mention, you use a lot of different variety of burn. Sometimes you're using burn like a board wipe. Sometimes you're using like a single target. Sometimes you're just hitting someone in the face with it. There's really a lot of things you can do that made it hard to compare and contrast.
Well, yeah, because in Commander, if you're burning, if you're not multiplying your burn, you're hitting people for 2. People start with 40 life. It's kind of hard to get there, but it's doable. But it's just not as common. So we decided instead of doing burn or anything like aggro, it's just too general a term. We decided to settle on our top 5 budget hate cards in red, right?
Exactly. Let's hate on a strategy. Let's hate on something the opponent's doing. Let's punish them or make it so they don't get their general game plan. Let's, and that's what I think when I think about it. I use red a lot for in my Commander deck is somehow just, slowing down, messing up the opponent a little bit, punishing them a little bit for something they're trying to do.
I think it's right on point because in Commander, I like when there's a game happening, whatever colors you're utilizing, you're interacting with the person across from you. So if you're in blue, you're countering people. If you're in black, maybe you're removing a bunch of stuff. You're in white, you're sweeping the board or whatever you're doing. In green, you're just sitting there dropping forests over and over and over and over and over again until you drop a huge dinosaur. And in red, you're going to hate on a bunch of people and just try and stifle a bunch of people's strategies while you're getting in for your attacks and your burns and stuff like that.
So there we go. So we can start off with our number 5.
Let's do it.
And our number 5 is a more recent card, and I think this is the one more than anything else because some people are really down on it. I actually think it's a little bit underplayed, which is why I decided to put it in our top 5 and at the number 5 slot.
Yes.
Angel. That card is Enchanters Bane. Came out in Commander 2018, if I remember right. It's 1 red for an enchantment. At the beginning of your end step, target enchantment deals damage equal to its converted mana cost to its controller unless that player sacrifices it.
I think it's great because in Commander you play a lot of enchantments that help you out. Like if you just drop Heuristic Study or if you drop something that you need as an opponent of the person playing Enchanter's Bane, you're dropping enchantments for your game plan. So now if you play the Enchanter's Bane on me, now all of a sudden whatever I'm using for my game plan is also burning me every single time.
And not to mention, too, people don't like it because it's a permission spell, do you want to do it? But in this scenario, red has no other way to deal with enchantments. That's the big upside with it. True. It has no other way to deal with it. This is the first mono red card that, you're not doing an artifact or whatnot with it. This is the honorary card that can help you deal with enchantments. And some enchantments are very expensive. And, let's say, we're talking about a Heuristic Study, that one they might be willing to take a few hits. And after a while, they'll start caring. But even if you hit like a Sandworm Convergence, that's 8 mana for, if they're making a 5/5 every turn, they can only take that once or twice. And then after that, they want to get rid of it.
Or even just like a Zindakar's Resurgent. I think it's 5, right? So you're...
So somewhere said it's 7.
Is it 7?
7.
It's not. Yeah. So you're getting hit all the time. So whatever you're trying to do is you're getting punished for it. Basically. So yeah, for budget cards in this format that you want to utilize in red to hate somebody, Enchanter's Bane, I think you're right. I think it is a little.
And the mono red, I think I want to throw that in my mono red deck. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good way to do it. Put it in your slot, right, for single target removal or counter spells that you'd have in other colors. You don't get that in red as much, so put it in there because you're gonna hate on those enchantment players, basically.
Exactly.
All right, number 4 is Red Elemental Blast. For 1 red, it's an instant, and you choose one. You either counter target blue spell or you destroy target blue permanent. So this is really good because in Commander, I mean, I'd say blue and green were probably the most played colors, and so you got somebody in a game of a Commander where there's 4 players playing. Yep. Somebody's playing blue, so you got a 1-drop counter. A counter.
And it's a counter in red. You know, it can only hit blue things,
counter,
but you can fight in the counter war if you need to. You're not coming with nothing, or you could destroy a permanent, which could be very relevant. You know.
Yes.
So you still have an advantage on board. And again, we're making the assumption. Chances are, in a 4-player game, someone's going to have blue, and you're going to be able to hit something with it.
And again, it goes along the lines of the hate because you don't get a lot of counter ability in red, right? So that's really nice. And to be able to have a 1-drop, that's not expected. And if somebody else is playing a lot of counter spells that you play against in your play group, you know it, put this in your deck because then you know you can counter that counter spell. So whatever you got to drop, it's a little bit of protection too, keeping that in your hand.
And it's 1 mana too, so it's better than almost anything blue can ability except for blue elemental blast. But no one's run into a game with blue elemental blast, but running with a game with red elemental blast, that makes sense.
Yes, it does. All right.
Okay, so number three is one of the go-to enchantments for a lot of burn strategies, but it's also great because it really does hate on the opponents and dishes damage over time. And that is Sulfuric Vortex. It's 1 red and a red for an enchantment. At the beginning of each player's upkeep, Sulfuric Vortex does 2 damage to that player. And if a player would gain life, that player gains no life instead. So you do get rid of the life gain, which puts it in our hate category, but that's really not why it's so amazing. It's just the free 2 damage every turn.
Yeah. It just smack people for 2, and if you're in a Torburn deck, you're smacking them for 4.
Exactly.
Each time.
Oh, you got a Jai out, now you're smacking them for 5. You know, there's in these mono red burn strategies, especially, that damage adds up.
For sure. And then I really like that second part of it too. If a player would gain life, that player gains no life instead. It really hates on that life gain deck that somebody plays. And I think I have a mono black deck that relies a lot on life gain.
Yep, and that would just hose it.
Yeah, I'm not giving any hints to anybody that plays in my play group. Don't put this in your deck if you don't have it already.
I think they do.
But it's a really good card. It's really it definitely deserves a number 3. And it's only 3 mana to drop, so it's still relatively inexpensive to play.
Exactly. And again, all these cards are under $2 at the time of recording. They're all reasonable. Some probably, honestly, because they are red, they're more likely to stay under 2. And there were some great cards that weren't in 2 that I'd like to include, but they were just a little too expensive. But these ones, all within the price, and honestly, a lot of them pack a lot of bang for their buck.
Exactly. All right, so number 2, we were talking right before the podcast about number 2 and number 1, and they're really kind of flip flop. I mean, they're really close. They're very similar. They're really good cards.
And they're doing 2 different things, but we just couldn't decide, and this is where we ended up.
Yep. So we ended up putting at number 2, Mana Barbs. It's 3 and a red for an enchantment, and whenever a player taps a land for mana, Mana Barbs deals 1 damage to that player. So it's really nasty. Now that I'm looking at it again, like,
that's
my mind's thinking
going the other way.
I'm looking back. Oh, but it's really nasty because players trying to play some sort of removal spell even against your Mana Barbs. You know, they're playing 3/4 mana removal spell. They're doing 3/4 damage to themselves. If they were wanting to play anything else, it's really hard for them because they keep burning themselves every time they want to play something.
Exactly. The only downside to Mono Bar specifically is it hits you too. But in theory, you're playing things faster as red. You know, you have a lot more things, especially nowadays, where you might be able to pay stuff without paying for their mana cost. I'm looking at a couple of our new card draw things in red that allow us to circumvent some of that. You might even get to a passive, or even like Fires of Invention. That's maybe.
The card I was just thinking of,
that would be great with this as a little combo. You know, there's a lot of stuff you can do with Mono Barbs that really punish your opponents and not you.
Yeah, no, Fire's Invention and Mana Barbs, that would be a nasty combo because you're not needing to use your mana. You're just getting that cost reduction for free, basically, without tapping your mana.
Yeah, or
Yeah.
even something like a geyser, which is you tap for a certain amount of mana and then you gain red mana for each amount of lands your opponents control. That can be a huge blowout. But all of a sudden, you paid 3 to gain all this mana that you only had to, it took 3 damage with mana bars, but you gained all this mana from it. There's a lot of good abilities behind that.
And the person sitting across from you playing the big dinosaur deck might not be doing that.
No. If I'm playing my Dino deck and I saw that, I might be real scared. I'm gonna try to have to go another route with that.
Really slows your opponents down and makes them think, oh, which spell am I gonna drop this time? Yep.
Exactly. So now on to our number 1. And again, we flip-flop both. And this card actually went completely under my radar. And it wasn't until in our play group someone played it and I looked at this card and it did like a double and triple take. And I'm like, this card's stupid. How did I not know this card existed? And I hope a lot of you, see it now too. And maybe it won't be $2 anymore, but it was still very affordable when I was just looking at it. That card is War's Toll. It's 3 in a red for an enchantment. Whenever an opponent taps a land for mana, tap all lands that player controls. If a creature an opponent controls attacks, all creatures that opponents control attack if able. This is quite the punishing enchantment here.
Yeah, I think this is probably we still feel it's probably the biggest hate in the deck right here. Like if you whatever your game plan is, if you're tapping a land because you want to drop a creature on your turn, but you're also thinking, oh, I wanted to save some mana for some flash or some instance or whatever later on. You can't do that. You just gotta tap it all. Or if you're gonna swing, you might not swing now because you're gonna turn all your creatures sideways and you're gonna be wide open for 3 other players to before it comes back to you.
I was playing my zombie deck against this one, and I remember he played it, and I just sat there, and I'm like, it really messed up my game plan, like very badly. I have things in my zombie deck where I want to do stuff at instant speed, play stuff on other people's turns, either with that or maybe even have a counterspell. And I had I felt so set, guys. I had a bunch of zombie tokens. I was kind of poking in with 1 or 2, and then I have counterspell in my hand. I know I'm good. But then all of a sudden they play that, and I'm going, well, either I can keep up mana for my counterspell and just get that and not get my full value off my mana, or have to tap all the way out, try to get my mana value on my turn, and then I can't protect any of my stuff with my counterspell. It was very, what am I going to do?
I think it really just throws a wrench into whatever your game plan is. Unless your game plan is similar to the person playing the mono red deck and playing the War's Toll, if you're trying to do swing out every time, or if you're trying to use all your mana all at once every time.
Exactly. And at this point, to get around that, you pretty much have to, you would have to play stuff on your main phase too, which is what you should be doing anyways to not attack with everything. But then you comes into the first ability again, where all of a sudden you can't do anything at instant speed. And especially the first ability is where I think it's the scariest.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Okay. That's our top 5 budget hate cards in red.
All right. Thank you for listening, and we hope you guys enjoy the shows that we're doing. Subscribe, and we'll hope to hear from you next time.
See you.